Hello and welcome once again to BCR Webcasting. I'm delighted to be joined today by Ozlem Ozuner, who is Head of Operations and Finance, e-commerce at Allianz Trade. Ozlem, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. It's good to be here.
And very happy to be talking to you again. Last time we spoke, you were telling me about your exciting e-commerce product, Buy Now, Pay Later. And at that time, when we spoke last, you hadn't quite launched and gone live, but I believe that is now the case.
Yeah.
So I'm very keen to get an update from you, Özlem, as to how that's all going, and is it expanding at the rate you were hoping for, and is there as much interest as you predicted in this product? Just give us an overview of where you are
Yeah.
now.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, indeed, it's getting quite a lot of traction. I think in the way that we have launched the product in terms of time and the trend in digital transactions going online, we have the right ingredients. Everything probably kind of speeded up during COVID when consumers started seeing a lot of ease in using buy now pay later options when they were buying or purchasing goods and services online, and this was quickly adopted by the businesses as well. So what we are providing today is really a seamless experience of buying now and paying later through the platforms or through large merchants. And Allianz Trade is, of course, the risk mitigator. So we are actually enabling this B2B trade online through deferred payment options. So it's actually what we do traditionally for probably more than 100 years is now shifting to online.
And of course, the huge difference here is that this is more or less instantaneous, these decisions. So
Exactly.
if you're a buyer online, you can click on the icon and immediately get a decision as to
Yes.
whether your payment option can be extended or not. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. The difference is here that while the shopping is happening in the platform or online website, the risk decision is being given by Allianz Trade on a real-time basis, which means that we have to recognize the buyer as soon as they start filling in their shopping cart. We need to make sure that the buyer is who they say they are. So there's a lot of KYC checks, identifying the buyer through the platform or through our capabilities, and then really kind of preparing the credit limit depending on their shopping appetite. And at the point of checkout, of course, that they see the buy now, pay later option if the credit risk is approved. So this is in a way giving a buyer a lot of options for deferring their payment, but it's also giving the seller a lot of options because they have increasing basket size, they have recurring customers, they mitigate the credit risk by ensuring these buyers. So it's a kind of win-win situation both for the sellers as well as buyers.
Absolutely. And from a technological point of view, how are you doing this? You're doing this through APIs, and is this through your own database, or are you connecting in with external sources of credit information as well?
It is our database, and it is the API infrastructure that we have been developing for the last 5-6 years. Every transaction is insured on a single invoice basis, and our APIs correspond to the APIs of the provider. So if it's a platform, there is an API call made to our APIs. And if it's a large e-merchant that has the facility within their website, again, they call us through their APIs, and we have the right technology to really scale this up.
Yeah. And I can see, as you explained, the huge potential and the advantages to both buyer and seller. And the potential market for this is absolutely enormous, isn't it? Because I think
It's
last
very
time we
big.
spoke, the size of this market is 15 trillion US dollars.
Exactly.
And
That's what is the ultimate size of the market. And we will see a lot of shift in terms of behavior of buyers and sellers globally. as these kind of transactions become more of a everyday behavior. Because when you speak to a buyer who is done buy now pay later with a platform, they will tell you about additional value adds that they have taken. Sometimes these platforms provide invoice service, they provide accounting services, they provide credit management services. So it becomes like almost the SME has outsourced a lot of in-house tasks to an external provider, which is also free of charge for the buyer. I think it's excellent for
well,
SMEs.
I guess you're gathering all this data, and you might as well provide some added value as a result of having that data. Provide some added value back to the client.
Yeah. And for the sellers, some of the buyers are first-time visitors. So it may not be that, in traditional trade finance, you would probably know your buyers when you deal with them. But in e-commerce, you could have any buyer, hitting the platform. And then it's very important for that buyer to enjoy the customer journey, but as well as, the credit risk being taken by the insurance company makes the life of the seller, I think, much more better to continue growing this side of the business.
And in your experience so far of operating this, are you in most cases able to provide extended credit to the buyers?
Yes, because the average basket size in e-commerce is quite small compared to our traditional business of credit insurance. So from the deals that we have onboarded so far, we can see that the average basket size is around 2,000 pounds at max. So we are really talking about a high volume but low invoice value transactions that is happening online.
Okay. And in terms of these e-commerce sellers, geographically, where are you targeting at the moment? Are you targeting international sellers or local sellers or both? You've only been running this for a relatively short period of time now. So where have you reached out to so far in terms of who's using this service?
Most of the buy now pay later B2B activity is currently in the US, UK, and Europe. I think this is for a reason, because you probably have more information on the buyers, or you have open banking capabilities, which allows you to really detect the buyer and have an instant credit decision around those buyers. This is why we do see a lot of shift in the US market, in UK, in Europe. Scandinavia is very interesting because the growth is quite substantial there. But for us, because we are a global credit insurer, if a domestic buy now pay later player would like to extend to other geographies, we are able to provide that service.
And I guess over time, you're going to be trawling in massive amounts of data, which will add to your already existing massive amounts of data.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yes.
foresee any new uses for all this data in terms of maybe providing trends, market trends, or other credit information services?
It is very, very relevant what you said, Michael, because I think this is where it's all going, right? Well, you may have like all the data in the world, but what you do with it is going to be determining how your future really unfolds. So it's about exploring, analyzing that data. And I heard a phrase recently which said analytics as a service. So this could be something that a credit insurer like Allianz Trade can put into use to maybe provide behavioral statistics on how this e-commerce is evolving, to provide a lot of probably marketing services to e-merchants or sellers when they want to attract more buyers from different sectors, geographical information. So yeah, it's incredibly open. I think open to innovation that we will be seeing in the future.
Excellent. And we're very much looking forward to following this story and to see how this exciting new business for you, how it progresses. So hopefully we'll speak again in the future. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing you at our Alternative Receivables Finance event in London a little bit later on this month. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
So, Ozlem, thank you very much indeed for your time today. Thank you.
Lovely to chat to you today. Thank you.
You too.